Hello everyone, so today's lesson we focused on price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand measures the responsiveness of demand to changes in price. So what actually happens to demand if the price increases or decreases? There are different products and services in the market that respond differently to when prices increase or decrease, and this is what we're going to look at in today's lesson. Okay, so here we've got an example of a product with elastic demand, and you'll notice that the demand curve for elastic products is more horizontal, more flat and not so steep. Elastic demand is when a change in price results in a greater change in demand. So in this example here, when the price increases from P1 to P2, there's a greater proportionate change in demand from Q1 to Q2. There are many factors that affect the elasticity of the product. So for example, elastic products tend to have more substitute products. So if we take strawberry jam, if the price of strawberry jam increased, then consumers would switch to more substitute products, so things like raspberry jam, apricot jam. The degree of necessity is another factor which affects the elasticity. So is the product a necessity or is it a luxury product? So for example, products like chocolates are more elastic in demand, and also the amount of income which is spent on a product. So the greater amount of income spent on a product, let's say for example TVs, the more elastic demand will be. So if the price of TVs increase, then we'd see a greater change in demand. Okay, so on the flip side, we've got products which have inelastic demand. Inelastic demand is when a change in the price results in a proportionately smaller change in demand. And you'll notice the difference between the demand curves for elastic products and inelastic products. So here we can see that the demand curve is more steeper than the demand curves for elastic products, which tend to be more horizontal and more flat. So we can see here when the price increases from P1 to P2, it results in a proportionately smaller change in demand from Q1 to Q2, which is the total opposite of what we've seen with elastic demand. Inelastic products tend to have few substitutes. So for example, things like gas, where there are few substitutes. So petrol has inelastic demand. Also the degree of necessity. So things like insulin, if the price of insulin increase, people still need insulin, so demand wouldn't change as much. And also the proportion of income which is spent on a product. So things like stamps, which a small proportion of income is spent on, if the price increases, quantity demand, it will not change by a significant proportion. And we've also got products such as cigarettes, which are more habit forming goods, and we've noticed that in the UAE the government have put on taxes for cigarettes and energy drinks. Cigarettes are habit forming goods, and therefore we won't see a significant change in demand due to the increase in taxes. Okay, so how do we actually determine whether the product is elastic or inelastic in demand? Well, we can do a few simple calculations to work this out. So in order to work out the price elasticity of demand, you need to know this following formula, which is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. Okay, and in order to work out these percentage changes, we use the following formulas below. So in this example here for Susan's sunglasses, we see that the price has risen from £40 to £60 and different quantities are demanded. So if we use this formula here to work out the percentage change in quantity demanded, which is the first part of the formula, we can then use that information and plug it in to our formula. So the new quantity is 50. The original was 200. Divide that by the original times 100. Okay, so that is simply this calculation here. We should get minus 150 divided by 200 times 100, which equals minus 75%. Okay, so we've worked out the percentage change in quantity demanded, which is the first part of the formula here. Okay, now we need to work out the second part, which is the percentage change in price. So the new price is now at £60, minus the original 40 divided by the original price of 40 times 100, which equals 60 minus 40 is 20. We divide that by the original price of 40 times 100, okay, and we should get 50%. Okay, so we've worked out now the percentage change in price, and we've worked out the percentage change in quantity demanded. So we use the following formula: PB is equal to the percentage change. We use a triangle to represent change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. So that is minus 75% divided by the percentage change in price, okay, which we calculated as 50%. Okay, so we should be able to work out the elasticity of demand based on this formula. So 75 minus 75% divided by 50% will give us minus 1.5. Okay, I'm going to go through what these results mean on the next slide, but our answer is 1.5, which means that the demand for Susan's sunglasses is elastic. Okay, so from the previous slide, how did we determine that minus 1.5 was elastic? Well, when we calculate the price elasticity of demand, the different figures tell us the elasticity. So for example, if the answer would have been 0, that means that the demand is perfectly inelastic. Anything below 1 means that the product has inelastic demand. If the answer was equal to 1, then it would be perfectly elastic. And if it was greater than 1, which Susan's sunglasses was 1.5, that means it is elastic. Okay, you notice that when we was calculating the price elasticity of demand, we had minus 1.5. Okay, you need to ignore the minus coefficient. Okay, you just need to look at the standalone number. So if it was minus 0.5, right, this would mean that the product has inelastic demand. If it's greater than 1, it's elastic. So an inelastic product is petrol, for example, with a price elasticity of demand of 0 or 0.5. Okay, so